Thanks for joining us for today's webinar, Introducing Cyber Toolkit. I'm really chuffed at the response from so many members that have registered, and I'm looking forward to seeing what the guys have got to show us today. I've seen a demo of this and I've got in, and I'm really impressed with what I've seen so far, so it'll be good to get some feedback on what everyone else thinks as well. I know a lot of schools have been left a bit stranded with the suspension of certain other services, and I'm hoping that Cyber Toolkit will fit that need and take over for those. And it's all free for schools, which is a bonus. So I was really happy when the guys got in touch, told us about this, and are so keen to work with us and make it available to you. So a few things to go through. There's no chat as usual, but there is Q&A. So please do drop your questions in there as we go along. They might be picked up in the text in the Q&A or addressed by John as we go along or at the end. The webinar is being recorded. That should be available tomorrow morning once I've tidied it up. And the feedback survey will be live at the end of the webinar on the portal. Please do spend a couple of minutes just to share your thoughts on that. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to John, who's going to talk to you all about the Cyber Toolkit. Hello, John.
I just want to echo, thanks very much, everybody, for your time and for making the time to come and look at this service introduction. As Rick has said, this is something that we've been planning to put live, but we're putting live a little bit early, and so really glad to have you guys be amongst the first people in the world actually to see it. I'll just crack on, and Rick, if there is any problem or you can't see any of the screens, etc., then do just let me know.
Yep, I think it's right now.
Brilliant. Okay, so yeah, as I've said, welcome to Cyber Toolkit. Cyber Toolkit is actually brand new, but the team behind it is not. So we are the same team that have created a lot of the services for Pervade Software. Pervade Software is still going strong, but we've decided to launch this as a new entity. We've brought in some other people, so it's not just the team from Pervade. We've also bolstered the team with others, with expertise from policing, from OSINT backgrounds, so that we can create this one big mega toolbox, which we're going to show you about today. From our team's perspective, some of you may know us because we are the team behind both the Cyber Essentials system and the police cyber alarm system, which we created back in 2017. As some of you may know, it's a government contract, and unfortunately we were outbid for that contract. So it will be somebody else delivering police cyber alarm when it comes back up and going into the future. From our perspective, this period of time over the last 10 years where we've been helping ANME to run the Cyber Essentials scheme for NCSC, and where we've been helping the police to run the police cyber alarm scheme, it's been a really clarifying period for us, and it's shown us where our priorities should lie in cybersecurity. Lots and lots and lots of people apply lots of effort to the top 1%. They are focusing all of their energy, time, resources, money on making sure that our banks, insurance companies, big government departments, critical national infrastructure, all of those organizations are taken care of from a cybersecurity perspective. And that is important, but it does overlook the fact that the supply chain to that top 1% are the smaller 99%. And if we've got no standards and no good practices and no way of helping those organizations to have good visibility of their cyber issues and good tools to resolve the issues, then it opens up a massive cybersecurity weakness, not just in those top 1% of companies, but also in the country as a whole. So our sort of ethos is, if we can improve the smallest 99% of companies in the UK, we can improve the state of the nation as a whole quite dramatically. With that in mind, we've had this whole toolkit that we've been planning, and the idea behind it is that it's not a single replacement for any such thing. We've kind of got lucky that there's lots of different systems that are becoming unavailable in March 2026. That's coincidental timing. The idea behind this has been a seed for a while. It's just been stuff that we've not really been allowed to include in the services that we already run, and the hope is that we can do that. Our core mission at the center of all of this is to see if we can get that top 1% to pay us enough money that it funds everybody else getting free stuff. So you're going to hear the words free a lot. Don't worry, there are methods to pay us some money if you'd like to. But there is no obligation to do so. Anybody can register for this tool. Anybody can make use of the tools within the toolkit. There is no obligation. It's not like a pay-to-play scheme, but there are options where you can use some of the other tools that are in it that are to be paid for. Our hope is to get lots and lots of companies on the scheme, using it, using the tools, using the visibility that they provide and the advice that they provide in order to improve their cybersecurity. The way that we hope to get people to use the scheme is to have it pushed out via their supply chains. So we want end users to get on the scheme, and we want them to start, adding in their URLs, their IP addresses, their email addresses, their asset lists, all the things that that we can then perform assessments of. But we can get, hopefully, some of the larger companies who want to quantify the risk that their supply chain represents. Hopefully we can get those guys to use the system in order to track the risk that their supply chain represents. And they can do that at a cost. So I know one of the biggest questions with this system before we've even launched, one of the biggest questions that we get is, how is this free? How can a private company do this free? The very short answer is, even though I do say the word free a lot, and I apologize in advance for that, it is free to use. It's free for end users, but we are very much hoping that people like large companies will use this to track the supply chain at a cost. We're hoping that managed service providers might want to use some of our advanced features. Now, managed service providers can actually use the system free. They can bulk manage their organizations. We treat multi-academy trusts as managed service providers. So multi-academy trusts will be able to create an account for themselves and then create sub accounts, like customer accounts, for all of their schools. So managed service providers and multi-academy trust will be able to use it free of charge, just like everybody else, but there will be some more advanced features available for them, which we can make available at a cost. There'll also be things like branding options, which we will make available at a cost. So we're hoping that those guys, and then also maybe some government departments that might want to bulk analyze and bulk look at lots of their smaller institutions around the country. We're really hoping that those guys might want to pay us some money, and then that money be used to fund the toolkit for everybody else. There is a whole PowerPoint. I've brought it up and I've been strategically just sort of pressing next, but the idea of this isn't actually to use the PowerPoint. I just wanted to have it up here so that you guys have got view of the slides. But because we've got such a long time today, and thank you again, Rick and ANME, for generously offering us so much time to be able to show you the toolkit, we are just going to dive straight into the tool. So I've brought the slides up. We've got to the last one. If anybody would like to, you can refer back to this bit of the video. But the idea for today actually is for us to dive straight in, show you the toolkit. So for normal organizations, when they first create an account, they would see this dashboard. Some of these bars, which they represent the tools that are in the toolkit, this list will grow. Before we do get started, I should actually say that this is very early stage for us, so we will be improving the tool as it grows. So if you have any suggestions and if you've got any feature requests, you can send them to us. There's a support center built into it. I'll show you how to use that in just a second. But you can create feature requests, you can track those feature requests, and if you've got ideas for other tools that you think might be useful, you can let our team know. We'll prioritize them and we'll get them out to you. What we've got here is what we think is a really good starting point, but there's lots and lots and lots of things that we'd love to add. I've got a whole team of people scrambling with their ideas to try and get me to that. Oh, we should do this one, we should do this one. And we had to draw the line in the sand somewhere and say, these are the tools that we're going to have for the launch date. Everything else is going to have a release date after that for patches, but you can expect improvements to come thick and fast. Right, so as somebody logs into the system, they will see what you see on the screen here. We have a score dial. The score is made up really of three components. It's the total possible score if you activate all of the tools within the system and have them doing assessments. That's what the totality of this ring represents. Some of this one is grayed out, and that's because there are some of the tools that are not being used. If you jump to an organization that's using even less of the tools, it would have more gray, less color. There is also a score that you have achieved and a maximum possible score that you could achieve given what you've got activated. So in this case, this user is scoring 378 out of 620. It's not a particularly good score. And we can look here and see why that might be. So they've got some issues with their headers on their website. They've got some issues with their SSL certificates. They've got some issues with email security. So we're going to jump in and look at some of these. But The idea being we want to make this very simple, very easy to understand, credit scoring kind of dial that people can just use as their metric for how they're performing. This will go up and down. Nobody is immune from, vulnerabilities existing. Anybody who's got a Fortinet firewall or I forget the SSL VPN that just had the issue the other day. I won't name it. I don't want to name and shame people on the call, but as these big 10 out of 10 vulnerabilities crop up, nobody's immune to that. No amount of preparation is going to stop you having vulnerabilities. What we want to do is recognize that there is a vulnerability. That will obviously fluctuate your score down. And then as you deal with that vulnerability, it will fluctuate your score back up. And so we want you to be aware when bad things are happening so that you can quickly fix them. That's kind of the point of the system. As your score is highlighted in the top left, there is descriptions of what makes up the score, and obviously you can drill into it by tool. But the most important box on this window for me is the recommendations. We always display the top 3 recommendations, and we show you how much you could increase your score if you were to make this improvement. So if I improved my inbound firewall logs to block more malicious traffic, I could improve my total score by 45. If I improved the the SSL certificates on my web applications and my website, I could increase my score by 30, and so on. If you just continuously do the actions that are in this bottom left box, you should substantially increase your security posture. That doesn't mean that it's a forever thing. You can't just come in, follow all the instructions, get it done, and then ignore it forever. As new vulnerabilities come up, this system should let you know, and then you will see those in this box. So it's something to continuously check in with. We'll come back to the main dashboard in just a second, but in order for you to add assets to the system to be assessed, you come to the assessments page. You can add URLs, IP addresses, and email addresses. Each receive their own score. You can see here that the email risk score and the IP address risk score, they're fully colored, which means I'm using all of the features for my IP addresses and my email addresses, but I've got a slice of gray on the URL one, which means some of the services are not yet activated for all of my URLs. I can see how each of my assets is performing, or I can come in and add new ones. When I add new ones, I can give it a name, in this case, it's a URL, but if it was an IP address, it would ask me for an IP, and then it asks me which of the tools I would like to enable and disable. Again, can't stress that this list will grow. So it is important to keep coming in and checking that you've got everything switched on. We will let you know that you don't, because obviously you have the gray slice in your speedo graphs. But we will be continuously adding stuff to this in the hope that we can provide better and better and better tools. If you click on an asset that is, in this case, amber, and you want to see why, you can click on it and it brings up a side window that gives you a full breakdown of why you're not performing very well. So in this case, you're missing lots of headers from your website. You've got an internal IP address published in your public DNS records. You've got no certificates on your website, and some other stuff. Everything else looked okay. So you could just jump in and sort of get summaries right from here, or you can go back to the homepage, and from the homepage you can look at these from a tool basis. So you can see HTTP headers are pretty bad all across the board. I can click on any of these URLs and I'll get the exact same results that I just saw. So I can see I'm missing this critical header. When I see that I'm missing this header, it doesn't just tell me what header to create. It tells me what would be a recommended value. It tells me why it's important and the risk to my users for not having it. So hopefully we're providing lots of information. If the information that's provided here you feel is not sufficient, it is possible to also click on the linked NCSC or UK government guidance, which will open in a new window, and then it will tell you which certificates which headers you should have and what the values should be, and describe them in a little bit more detail. Wherever possible, we provide direct links to NCSC and UK government sources. You can do this with all of the tools. So if we come down, we've got inbound firewall logs. So we can jump over to this one just to the setup for a second. If you want to, you can set up an on-site monitor. For those of you that have used Police Cyber Alarm, this is very, very similar. You install something small on-site that you can send logs to. It compresses them, encrypts them, and then sends them off to us. You can even convert your existing Police Cyber Alarm collectors. Obviously, the ones that you currently have installed were created by us, and so we've got a conversion. So you just click on here and it gives you instructions on how to convert your existing collector, or you can install new ones following those instructions. Once you've installed that, you can then send logs to it, and we will auto detect which logs you're sending us. So if they're firewall, it will automatically activate the firewall tools. If you're sending us IDS, IPS, AV, or anti-spam logs, it will activate these tools down at the bottom here. For those of you that know the police cyber alarm system, you'll know that it looks at inbound firewall traffic. So it's looking at attacks that are coming from the internet into your network. And if you look at this system, it has the same thing. We summarize it to you in much the same way, but we also provide you with this critical list. So these are known bad IP addresses that you are allowing traffic from. And if you click on it, it will tell you which ports you've allowed traffic from. You can obviously then go off and search those. And I will show you some of the investigation tools that we include where you can actually perform that investigation within the system. But what's different from Police Cyber Alarm is that we also allow you to look at your outbound requests. We don't keep all outbound requests. We actually dismiss nearly all of them. What we're looking for is any outbound request to a known command and control server. So if we see ransomware, malware, Trojans, rat tools, if we see any of those making an outbound request to a known CT server, we will let you know about it, much the same as the NCSC's very valuable early warning system. But because we're getting the data from something on your network, we actually know which of your internal IP addresses is making that request. So with early warning system, you'll get an alert that says something on your network may be compromised. With us, we're saying, right, the PC that you've got on 192.168.20.108, it's compromised. It's making these requests out to these IP addresses. And then if you click on those, you can go search them and see how bad they are and what they're probably doing. So we have both inbound, but we also have outbound malware detection, ransomware detection, and things like that. This is something that we've wanted to enable for a really long time, but haven't been able to. And we think that this is going to really add a lot of value to the system. As I mentioned, if you do send it things like IDS, IPS logs, AV logs, anti-spam logs, these will automatically enable. You don't have to do anything to do that, but you don't have to. This is we do appreciate that these are tools that might be not within the realm for lots of schools. So it's stuff that we expect some of the larger organizations to do, or those that have got unified threat management systems in place. So they've got a firewall that's got an IDS built into it, for example. These tools should auto enable, and then you'll be able to see those results there. I've mentioned already that we have investigation tools. So we've already looked at assessment tools. These are static point in time assessments. We do the assessments at different rates depending on what the tool is, and we break the tools up into 3 categories. We've got no contact, light contact, and full contact. No contact makes no contact with your organization at all. We are checking public DNS records and other such things. So we don't make any contact with any of your systems. These are enabled by default. You can just crack on, you can go ahead and do that. Light contact, and we do these every couple of hours. With light contact, these are ones that make legitimate requests to your system. So for example, if we want to assess your encryption on your web servers, we will make a legitimate request to you, and we will see what SSL handshakes and things your server supports. So because we're making legitimate requests, we call these light contact. This would also include things like connecting to your mail server to check what encryption it supports, things like that. The header audits for your website, things like that. The full contact, these are the aggressive actual assessments of your security. So these would include vulnerability scanning. This would include automated web application penetration testing. This would include port scanning. So you do need to be aware that these, the full contact tools, they are more aggressive. They will hopefully set off security alarms within your infrastructure. I mean, if they don't, that's something that we can look at. But if you want to get those sort of meaningful results of here is a vulnerability that exists on your system, here is a way that attackers could exploit your systems, here's a port that you maybe weren't aware is open, you might want to enable those. All of the log tools, they also fit in full contact. And the reason for that is because we require you to install a piece of software on site. So we see those as being a little bit more involved, but that's where we break these down. If you come into you've got the assessment tools, you've got the live monitoring tools, which, as I say, fall in full context. There is log data as a monitoring tool, but we also have live monitoring for emerging threats. So these are things that you won't know about, but they're also things that your vulnerability scanners or our vulnerability scanners won't yet know about. So if a new vulnerability is created, so if we take a look over here, we've got a 9.8 out of 10 for those that don't know CVSS scores. 9.8 out of 10, super serious, Fortinet vulnerability. We can see which systems are affected. We've got the information here. If we want more information, I can click on the link and it opens directly to the NIST database so that I can go see what that's all about. But it's giving me an alert that this has been created. It will give me this alert within 5 minutes of that being created. That is significantly faster than your vulnerability scanner could create a check for. So as the firewall vendor or the web server vendor or the mail server vendor or whatever it is, as the vendor understands that there is a vulnerability and is ready to publish that information, even if, like Microsoft, they publish the information about the vulnerability and the solution to the vulnerability at the same time. When they publish that information, we will know about it within 5 minutes. We can create these alerts, and when you come into the system, you can see them. We also, in order to set this up, you basically tell us what equipment you have on site. So you say, we've got a Fortinet, we've got Cisco firewalls, we've got an Apache web server, we use this Office package. It doesn't just have to be things from the outside of your network. That's what we focused on with, for example, police cyber alarm. This can also be things inside your network. So if you want to tell us that you've got certain types of, Dell laptops, or you want to tell us that you've got a certain accounting package, even if it's not available to the outside world, you just put in here more like an asset register. Yes, we've got this equipment, and then we will then tell you, provide you with ranking based on the number of vulnerabilities that we're seeing. And then if a new vulnerability comes out, we'll alert you straight away. As soon as you come into here, you can see what vulnerabilities are available for the piece of equipment. You can see the details of the vulnerability. And then once you've resolved it, you can hit mark as resolved. It is important to note that this is manually assessed as resolved, because this is not something that we're automatically checking for. Remember that we're doing this before vulnerability scanners have usually even created a check for this, because we'll tell you about the vulnerability within minutes of its publishing, rather than waiting a couple of days for a test to be created, for example. We put this in the monitoring section just because it is real-time monitoring. I've mentioned a few times now the investigation tools. So we will be beefing this up. This is an area that we're actively working on, but we've drawn a line in the sand where we will allow you to search for IP addresses. You can search for URLs, very similar. If you type in a URL, it will give you information on the subdomains of that URL. It will give you details about the owner of the URL. And then it also provides something that is unique to Cyber Toolkit, where we perform a risk assessment. This is based on a number of different factors, including whether we know that there's any ports open, whether we know that there's any vulnerabilities that exist. So, for example, that could be from our own data, or it could be from external sources like Showdown. We can also perform an assessment based on whether we're seeing that address attacking anybody else. And so we can allow you to just search for things. So if you remember, back on the home page, we've got, if you go to inbound firewall logs, there is a list of IP addresses that are attacking me. And so if you want to, you can come and search these IP addresses within the investigation unit, and it will tell you whether anybody else is seeing things. You can also search for vulnerabilities. You can search for your postcode. There's a really fun game. If you do search your postcode, there's a kind of a fun game that people play here where it gives you the average income of your postcode, and you can check it against everybody else's. I don't know how fun that would be for other companies, but everybody here seems to like it. You can also have a private company search. So you can, for example, search any company you like, and it will bring up their details, including their directors, where they are in the country, etc. You could do the same thing for people. So we are providing these sort of OSINT, open source investigation tools, where we can give you lots of information that will include IP addresses and URLs and other such things. But as we beef this up, the tools will just be introduced, and then there'll be an email to say that the tool has become available. And as we beef this up, we'll let you know. On the other side of the screen, you've got a forensic investigation tool. A forensic investigation tool is one of the premium tools that we'll be making available, but at a fee, unless you are a managed service provider. If you are a managed service provider, or of course a multi-academy trust that performs investigations on behalf of other people, we will actually include this for you. This will allow you to add in your own log files and then just upload them to the system. So if you've got, for example, you know that there was an incident between this time and this time, you get a copy of your firewall logs, you get a copy of your Active Directory logs, you get a copy of your server logs, your web server logs. You can add them all and then click analyze, and then it will provide you with a breakdown of that by time. As mentioned, though, we envisage that this is something that could generate a huge number of support requests. And so that's the reason why we're making it a sort of paid for feature. And then in the instance of MSPs and multi-academy trusts, because they've got sort of dedicated cyber people, we envisage that might generate fewer support requests and require a smaller amount of our time. So that's sort of the reason why we're differentiating there. Finally, from a tool category, we have got the assurance group. So at the moment, we have a Cyber Essentials preparedness capability. So you can come in and answer your questions, and we can give you an educated guess as to whether or not we think you would pass. This is just based off the published questions. But our longer term hope for this is that we will also allow you to certify through the scheme. There's a new version of Cyber Essentials coming out at the end of April. And when that comes out, we would hope that you can enter your details here within our system, click get certified, and then we can use the API capability of the certification body to go get you certified. And then obviously next year you can do the same thing. We will be adding other standards to this. So we already have DSP Toolkit and NHS specific standard, but we hope to be adding others. There'll just be a drop-down menu here and you can select and change your standard. There are other assurance tools. So we've got a policy creator where you can just come in, create things like information security policies, acceptable use policies, data classification policies. There'll be things that we'll need to ask you. So you select the policy, hit get started, and then it will ask you, what's your minimum password lengths, etc. But only if we can't already get the information. So for example, if I, on this information security policy, if I hit get started, it actually has all the information that it needs because I've answered my Cyber Essentials questions. So it will just go pull the information directly from the information that I've already provided, and it just generate the document. But there are some that are a little bit more interactive where you might have to, provide the names of a compliance officer or a data protection officer, or give the minimum number of password characters and things like that. We will also have a phishing submission tool. This will be another tool where we will bar some of it from the free use. So we will make phishing and submission campaigns available free of charge, but we will do that. It will be very basic. So the emails won't look very realistic. They will have spelling mistakes in. It will basically be a test for the most obvious level of phishing. But we will actually provide another level, which will be a paid for service, where you can, for example, provide us with the name of one of your directors and a project that you're working on, so that we can sort of send out an email that appears to come from your director and sort of asks for information related to a specific project that you're working on. So we will have more advanced levels, but the basic level will be available within the system free of charge. I think that kind of rounds out the tools that we're making available. All of the stuff that I've shown you so far, with the exceptions that I've spoken about, is free to use. Anybody can sign up, make use of these tools. If you look at the kind of things that we've introduced, so the email checks that can effectively replace the mail check service, the URLs and the IP address stuff goes way, way, way beyond what web check provides. And then we also have something that effectively covers what DNS check does for some government domains. As I understand it, DNS check from the NCSC is only available for a few domains. It's not available, for example, for sch.uk. subdomains. So you can use these tools to effectively replace all of those services that are going down, and of course the other ones that I've already spoken about at length. On to the next bit of the system, though. The next bit of the system is where we hope some of the larger organizations who might appreciate understanding the risk that their supply chain represents will want to use this system. So within here, you will be able to come in. People can add new suppliers. So when you do it, you just come in, you can select whether it's a UK registered company. You can add schools by their unique reference number. You can add FCA societies by their society number. And when you add those, it will just come in. So for example, if we go to our investigation tools, we go find a company, and then we can take their registered number. I can go to my suppliers page. I can click add new supplier, registered company, paste the company number in, and then it goes and it finds it. I now have to put in, what size is this organization? Give me their website, give me a contact, and then it will add it as a supplier and it will perform an immediate assessment, which you'll be provided free of charge. You can do this. You can upload your whole supply chain. There won't be a charge for it. But if you want to subscribe to that data, there will be a cost associated with that. There are also different subscription levels. And so if you come in here, you can choose to subscribe just to their organization score, or you can choose to subscribe to the score from all of their tools. That will give you a more granular breakdown. So if you don't subscribe to them, you would get something kind of simple. So you would just get, this supplier has a score of 78%. That's what you see. If you do subscribe to that organization, you can get more granular scores depending on your level of subscription. So in this case, for example, the supplier has a score of 79%, but I can see that actually their email security is particularly weak, as are the headers on their website. And so I know which areas they can improve. And so for large organizations, the hope is that they can subscribe to the data for all of their suppliers, and then they can run campaigns and work with local groups such as CRCs or the police protect teams to run campaigns into their suppliers to help them improve in the areas that they're kind of introducing the most risk to the business. And in order to do that, you will require permission from the organizations that you follow. You can't just follow this granular level of technical detail without asking them. They will need to accept your data subscription. And that's also a sort of big point of this, is that one, will be charging for it, but also they will need to approve your subscription. With people like managed service providers and multi-academy trusts, I've set up a couple of other demo organizations within here. So if there is a multi-academy trust, you might notice that at the moment on a normal organization, under dashboards, they only see suppliers. But if you flick over to multi-academy trusts, you can also see an additional tab called schools. And the schools tab allows you to, again, come in and add your schools. So you can come in, click school unique reference number, put it in, and then it will automatically find the school and add it. You can also bulk upload. So if you've got a spreadsheet of all your schools, you will need their unique reference number, or you will need their company registration number. But yeah, you can do a bulk upload and get them all in. When you do, you'll get this score. And again, if you want to subscribe to them, they're automatically subscribed to if it's a multi-academy trust, and they're automatically subscribed to if they are customers of a managed service provider. So if we flick over to MSP, instead of seeing schools, they see a dashboard called customers, and then within their customers dashboard, they can come in and see how they look. I'll just take a moment here just to show you the gray slice of the pie in action, because we've got lots of suppliers or customers on this page. Some customers that are using the system and have activated more of the tools, therefore they have less gray. And then we've got some customers that have probably never logged in. Therefore, even though they're performing quite well, they're only filling up a fraction of the speedo because they're not using many of the features. I'm just going to blitz through the last couple pages within the system and then pause and ask and answer some of the questions. I can see that there's already lots of questions that Holly's provided me, so I will read them out and then answer them one by one. But before we get to that, we've got just underneath the dashboard section, you have your alerts. So you will get alerts. You can choose whether you get those alerts via SMS or email, and then you'll have different types of alerts. So alerts from the tools, things like new vulnerabilities popping up, tools, alerts from your organization to say, for example, things have been added and removed, and then your user alerts, things like password resets, 2FA tokens, and so on. And then in the final box, you've got resources. So we have a customer service center, but if we also did, for example, custom reports, that's where it would go within the resources section. And then within our support center, this is where we can publish tutorial videos, frequently asked questions, and where you can create support tickets. If you create a support ticket, you just click create, give it a name. It will automatically go to a customer service provider, customer service advisor, and then they'll be able to answer your questions. We do endeavor to come back as quickly as possible, but please do remember, we're kind of a small company and we are offering this free of charge. So service levels will be best endeavors to start with, and then as we ramp up, we will definitely throw a lot more resource into it. And the chats, the information that you get back will just be in an instant message chat style, so you can come chat with us. You can change from text to screenshots to upload it. You can click like, and you can reply to individual tweets, to individual messages, etc. Apologies, I'm showing my age. I don't know the correct terminology for DMs and tweets and things, but yeah, it's just like an instant message chat where you can come in and do this, but it'll be over time. And then when we reply to you, you'll get an email to say that you've been replied to, with a direct link that will come and open that chat. So I don't know, Rick, if you wanted to come in and talk about this, or I'll start talking about it. But if you did want to come in, do talk and let me know. But I think the idea for this was, we're putting this out there. It is something that people can just come in and use. If you want to make use of the pay for features, brilliant, it's going to help us out. But if you don't have to at all. There's no obligation to. What we would like to do, though, is encourage people to communally use this to improve their security. And so where multi-academy trusts, for example, can get a group view of all of their schools, an organization such as ANME could do the same thing. So you would be able to log in and get your individual score, but if you clicked onto a group page, which would appear at the bottom here, you would also be able to see the group score for the entire collective that is ANME. And then you guys can be able to sort of track that progress over time, encourage each other to improve, run specific content through these brilliant webinar sessions that are organized. And the content for those webinars can be dictated by which tools you're performing best at and which ones you're not. If people are doing poorly on email security, a session could be run on, what is DMARC and DKIM and SPF? How can we set that up? How do we improve our encryption settings on our email? Simple things where it could be as easy as a half-hour configuration job. Adding headers to a website is a great example. Coming in and adding a critical header is a 10-minute job for a website. It could be as simple as a 10-minute job for a website, but it could make a huge improvement to your cybersecurity and your cybersecurity score. And so whilst we do want to see individual organizations coming in and using it for themselves, we also would love to see these big sort of communal efforts, be that through somebody pushing improvement through their supply chain, be that an association such as ANME, whether that is a private group such as a multi-academy trust. We're not really sure what it is, but pushing this out on bulk and being able to, as a community, sort of lift those security standards using the visibility and the advice and the things that this toolkit provides, that is something that we would love to see. Okay. So assuming there's, I'm talked out, I think I've gone through all of the things that I wanted to go through. I've got some questions here. So Rick, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to say or go through, or whether I should just make a start straight on these questions.
Just possibly that it's we're looking to integrate things with the portal as well, so members will be able to see things, possibly just the scores, the can't remember what you called, and then the credit score graphs. From within the portal, just to get an idea of what your current score is and possibly judge it against the rest of the community. We're talking about all sorts of integrations like that, so I'm looking forward to seeing where that can go. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it all, really, seeing how it develops. I think it's a great solution, a great option for schools to tick the boxes for the things that they're going to be losing out on.
Yeah, and to answer your question, we call it a cyber risk score. But then we got reminded that this might be a little bit obnoxious from an IT professional's perspective to have too many acronyms. So we've got the Cyber Toolkit, which we abbreviate to CTK, and you've then got the Cyber Risk Score, which is your CRS, and then just being able to say to people, "Oh, what's your CTK CRS?" That apparently was a little too obnoxious. So we're going to try and keep it with the full length Cyber Risk Score as much as we can, certainly in all the videos that we put out. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to go through the questions. I've been handed them in paper format, again showing my age, but I've not read these. So I'm just going to briefly read it through. I'll read it out and then I can answer the question. So if this isn't the new cyber alarm, is this going to have anything to do with the RPA scheme and our compliance with the RPA scheme? Totally understand that question. So I would love to tell you that you guys are the first in the world to see it, but you're not. We very early doors did show the Department for Education, and our hope is that they will make an amendment to the rules of the scheme so that it says you either have to be registered for police cyber alarm or this. A lot of the motivation for getting people to register for police cyber alarm was to put them in touch with the cyber protect officers and the cyber resilience centers, which is a really, really good thing for people to do. So we really do actually hope that people register for both. I think there's value in that. It means that people can their details can be forwarded onto their protect officers and their CRCs, which are a rich source of resource that you can take advantage of. In terms of the technical features, obviously we do provide the things that they're going to. We should also caveat with that we're not aware of the timescales for their new platform. We do know that in a few days it's going down. Everybody's been notified about that. That's public information. And then their hope is to build the scheme up again, but their aspiration for building it up, as we understand it, is what the system currently provides, whereas what we're doing goes way, way, way beyond. And we're not definitely not thinking of ourselves as a replacement for police cyber alarm. We are obviously, there's more users of web check, mail check, and DNS check that are missing out in March. So we're hoping to provide a good alternative for all of these different systems. But where we'd like to take it in the future is way beyond that. We would really, really like to shoot for the moon and provide, some really cool stuff. So under the investigation, I'm not going to go into it because if I do this, it'll be on YouTube and then we'll be held to it and we'll be made to provide the tools. But we've got some really exciting ideas for things that we can provide you with, tools that we can provide that will make things much, much easier. And we'll be doing all of those in relatively short order. We don't want to put any harsh deadlines on ourselves, but a lot of the tools are already kind of pre-made and we just need to integrate them into the system. That's kind of the perks of our background. Obviously, we've had over a decade of providing the Cyber Central system. We've had since 2017 of providing the police cyber alarm system. We also run dark web indexing systems for lots of different people. So we'll be, I may have given a clue as to some of the tools that are on the way, but we've got some really cool stuff that's on the way. And when we add these tools, on the whole, we won't be charging for them. These will just be extra line items that appear in the menu on the right. They'll just become available. And when we send out an email to say that they're activated, we'll also provide some instructions on how they could be best be used. Okay, question number 2. If this replaces PCA at schools, then and the schools then don't need or want to migrate to their new system, will you be sending critical data on to the police so that they can still collate? At the moment, no. So we, as part of our data processing impact assessment, so the assessment and the guidance that we provided for our GDPR, we won't be sharing your information with anyone. So we don't have any third parties. Again, that's one of the perks of like our history. Like we own everything here end to end. So we won't be passing your information on to anyone. I am sure that if they would like us to, we can work with the police to put like a tick box or something in the portal. But same time, so could Rick. It's something that we could just put a tick box, and if you click it, we can send an email with your details off to the protect teams. But yeah, it's at the moment, no, there's no current plan to do that. They're working with the new provider of their system to sort of rebuild and get to the point that they've already been at for the last few years. But when they've done that, we're not sure what relationship they would like to have with us. We're open to it, very open to it. As I said, we can easily put a tick box in the system that forwards your details on to your local cyber resilience center or to your local protect officers. We've got the mechanisms to do that if they wanted us to. But at the moment, I think they're figuring out what they want their system to be when it's built. And our place within that will probably become clearer as their system becomes available. When you say premium features for Matt, what does this include? Also, what are considered the non-premium features, which will be free for all? So the two main ones, under investigation tools, there is a forensic investigation tool over on the right-hand side. This will not be generally available for all users. As I mentioned before, this is largely because of the envisaged support requirement of offering such a complicated tool to people that are perhaps not used to using enterprise SIEM systems. So we will be making this available to MSPs and to multi-academy trusts who probably have, qualified cybersecurity investigators on staff. But this is something that we won't make available to everyone, but it is something that we might offer for a fee to everyone. And the other one is the phishing smishing, where we will have a simpler version of it that's available for free. But if you want the premium version, that will come at a cost. I didn't talk about it, but there are a few other things. By default, this system will only keep your data for 7 days. We have no reason to keep it longer than that. It costs lots of money to keep it longer than that. If you guys ever saw the storage bill from the cloud provider for Police Cyber Alarm, you would understand why we don't want to keep it for as long as them. But if you would like us to keep your data for longer so that you can perform, or so that the system can perform for you, that historic trend analysis, we will do it. But because the storage costs money and because the compute power to do that historic trend analysis costs us money, we will charge for it. So there will be options for you to increase your storage to either 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, or a year. And then there's some reporting options where you can opt into reports. These things we may charge for. The way that the charging works throughout the whole system is with credits. So everybody, when they join the system, will join the system with 0 credits. You'll be able to purchase credits. You'll be able to do that either with a credit card through the system. It'll be integrated with PayPal, but or you can just request a quote from us. We'll send you a quote. You can pay us, and we'll give you an invoice. So we will be flexible to do it. You'll be able to sort of bulk purchase credits and then spend them as you go. And so the idea being, if there's a government department and it's middle of March and they're not sure what to do with the money that needs spending before the end of the month, they can bulk buy some credits and use that to either have longer storage terms or to use some of the more premium features of the system. Or indeed to track their supply chain. If you pay to track your supply chain, this is updated as the queries are updated. So if it's hourly queries, you will get, if you if it's hourly queries, the score will be updated hourly. If it's a daily query or if it's a weekly query, it will update as the query runs. Apologies, somebody handed me a post-it note and I am a mono thinker. I'm incapable of doing 2 things at once, which means I had to stop talking in order to read it. Okay, my trust is 5 LGFL connected primary schools. Will there be any specific firewall settings that we will need to set? There's a second side to this. The hardware firewall is owned and managed by LGFL, and as such, we will have no access to the firewall. How will this affect the system? This is a fantastic question because this was one of the big areas for Police Cyber Alarm where we had to sort of get very specific. With this one, we don't. There are no limitations here. So we have already spoken to LGFL. Very sad to report there's even more people that have seen this system before you guys. That we did show LGFL already. They liked it. And so we will be working with people like LGFL. We hope to work with others like, East Midlands Group for Learning, RM, others, where they've got this sort of shared resource model, because we can actually allow them to do that by default. So we don't need, on-site hardware firewalls as a restriction. We don't have to have VDOM-based virtual firewalls as a solution. We don't really care where the data is coming from. We provide them with rules to say which customer it belongs to, and so it should be quite easy for them to switch on. We hope to be working with those guys a lot. As I mentioned before, we're really hoping that can be a way that this system gets pushed out. Do you have a reference that can be used to complete a DPIA before signing up to the product and sharing data? We can share with you our data privacy policies and our data protection stuff for sure. Our internal data impact assessments and things, those are internal, but we will share everything that's public. We will give to you. Do we have a reference? No, you guys are seeing this so early. The only people that are on the system are friendly users that are trialing it and giving us feedback, such as Rick from ANME and a few others. We've got a great set of friendly users that have been helping us for the last few weeks, but you guys are seeing this so early that no, we don't have a reference that I can give you, unfortunately, at this time. If you want to come back, you don't have to sign up straight away. If you want to come back in a month, we will. The actual planned launch date for this, I forgot to say this at the start, but the actual planned launch date for this is not until the second week of March. So it's the 11th of March. I know that sounds like a really odd date, but we're doing it at a big security conference in Farnborough. And so the launch is scheduled for then, but we've said that we'll launch it a couple of weeks early because we understand that there's quite a lot of schools being left in the lurch by certain services going down. So we're planning to make it available to you guys early, but it's literally just so that you're covered, and because we feel bad. It's not something that we're planning to make generally available until the 11th of March. So after that date, we would hope that there'll be lots of reference customers, and I'm sure some of the friendly users that have helped us to test and improve the system up to this point will be happy to become referral customers on our website. But until that date, no, you guys are seeing it so early that unfortunately I don't have that. We've got three schools, a three-school multi-academy trust in Portsmouth. Similar questions to the others. Do you have information for carrying out DPIA for the product? We would like to sign up. Yeah, so in terms of, sorry, apologies if I misunderstood that previous question. In terms of you performing your own DPIA for using it, yeah, absolutely. We've got all the information. I will put together a PDF so that you don't have to log into the toolkit. So there is frequently asked questions, and then we've got stuff in here. But I'll put together a PDF and we can share it. If it's okay, Rick, I can share it via the portal, maybe a discussion thread.
That's fine.
So we'll get that over to you so that you can sort of see. But all the data is kept in the UK. We know the postcode where the data is stored. All the data kept in the UK. All of our staff are based in the UK. All of our staff are SE cleared. That was the word I was looking for. I was going to say accredited, but that's not the one. But we're all SE cleared and things. Obviously, having provided the schemes that we've provided for the last decade, data privacy is at our core. So we can send you out all the information to allow you to perform your own DPIA. That is no problem at all. People can pre-register via the website, and then as soon as it's live, you'll just get a welcome email. Or if you would prefer, you can let us know if you need any information specifically. I will put an email address up in the chat so that you can contact us. But it's basically support@cybertoolkit.com. Okay, will it provide email, DMARC, DKIM, SPF checking? Yes, absolutely. So as soon as you come in, it will provide DMARC, SPF. It won't provide DKIM. That's because DKIM goes on a record that we don't know the name, that it's not possible to know the name of. I mean, we could guess it. There's lots of people that use a common one, like just DKIM underscore DKIM dot. But no, because DKIM usually goes on its own record, which we can't guess, it's not really practical for us to audit DKIM, but we will audit DMARC, SPF, and then we also, not something that everybody does, but is very important, is the email encryption, which we will give you a grade for, very similar to what you would get with SSL Labs for your website, but this does this for your email, and then it gives you a percentage score as well as to how healthy. If you get a lower score, it's likely because you are accepting weak ciphers in your email encryption. Will email risk tools assess individual email addresses, domains, tenancies, or both? The answer is both, because a lot of the DKIM and SPF records will be for an entire domain. However, when you do email checks, it also includes leaked credential checks. And so the leaked credential checks, in order to get those, you would want to put in individual addresses. So we advise that if you come in here where you add email addresses, you can bulk add, but when you add the email addresses, you should just add all the addresses that you've got. There's no cost for them. We don't care if you've got 3 email addresses or 300 email addresses. Add them all in, and then we will check them against the normal credential check stuff. So like your have I been pawned and stuff like that. But we also have obviously our dark web indexing systems that we've been running for years. We also run it through those. So it's not just if you're included in a data breach, but also if your credentials are mentioned pretty much anywhere on the Tor network. So you can add individual addresses. You do have to add it in an address form, but obviously if you just add like support at the domain, it does the entire domain for you. Can you please clarify if we can only use this for free for 7 days and then our scores or data is wiped? No, you can use this continually. So we will only keep your results for 7 days and then we'll scan you again and there'll be a new set of results. So for example, when we look for some of the checks, which I mentioned earlier, we divide the checks up into no contact, light contact, and full contact. So what we usually find is that no contact checks, such as your DNS audit and your email address checks, we'll do those every couple of hours. So when we bring in new data, we do keep all of the data for 7 days, and then it will be deleted. That allows us to track improvements. So no contact checks would also include things like looking for new vulnerabilities, looking for new CVEs for the equipment that you've registered. We will keep that data for 7 days, and that allows us to keep track of how quickly you're resolving things, and also allows us to provide you with a little small amount of trend analysis over time. But for the vast majority, we'll delete those results after 7 days. The reason why that's not important is because we're scanning every couple of hours. So deleting it after 7 days is not a problem. You've still got all the rest of the results in there. For some of the assessments, such as vulnerability scans, we'll only perform the assessment once a week. So we'll perform the assessment, the data will sit in the system for a week, and then it will be deleted. But it will be deleted and you'll be scanned again. So you should always have data in the system, and you are welcome to use it for as long as you like for free. So yeah, it's not only in the system for 7, it's not like one of these things where you can use it for 7 days and then it costs money. You can use it for free for as long as you like. Can you choose to not participate in sharing your score anywhere if you're not sure if you want, if I was running a school with a terrible score, I wouldn't want everybody to see it. Yeah, so from our perspective, we won't publish any scores. Like on the website, you can't just go to our website and perform a lookup on a company or something. If somebody added you as a supplier to their organization, they would be able to do a one-time lookup on your school. And in order to get that sort of continuous score following, that would require your permission. What I think you're talking about is the ANME bit where we were talking about, having the scores. So for example, that ANME would be able to keep track of the scores of the different schools. So you can decline the subscription request. So ANME would make a request to you to subscribe to your data in order for it to contribute to the pool. You could decline that request. That means that they would not be able to get your complete scores for all of the tools that you're using, but they would be able to see the results of the things that don't contact you in any way. It's called the open source checks or the no contact checks. So for example, being able to see, your DNS configuration or being able to see your website headers, but that is all public information anyway. That's stuff that people would be able to gather. Rick, if you want to come in.
Yeah, we're not just going to mass request that sort of permission from all the members in one fell swoop. If we do that sort of integration, it will be an opt-in thing, so you would have to approve it. We're not going to make anyone panic by saying, no, the ANME has just requested access to our data. It's not going to be like that.
Excellent. And the very last question that I've got on a post-it note is, following on from my answer earlier, what are the prices of the premium features? I'm going to end with a moment of startling honesty, if it's okay. The honest answer is I don't know right now. We aren't actually launching this for a few weeks. Like, we don't launch this to everybody until March 11th. We're making this available early so that you guys have got something to use for this interim period where services are going down. We understand how many thousands of people are using, for example, NCSC Web Check and Mail Check. We don't want people to get caught and left without. So we are bringing this up a little bit early, which means that you are kind of catching us before we figured some of this stuff out. So when we say like the premium features, such as the premium phishing and smishing, it's not going to break the bank, but this is something that our commercial folks will be dreaming up over the next week or two, and then they'll put it in a brochure, and then I'll know. I'm our CTO. I try to stay out of that stuff as much as I can, and yeah. So the very very, and apologies that it's slightly maybe too honest answer is at this moment I genuinely don't know what it will cost. But do remember, you don't have to use it. So if it does come out and it costs too much, you can always just not. Or give us some really good feedback, and then we'll take it back to the commercial folks and see if they'll lower it. Okay, I think that's all the questions. So I'm not sure, Rick, if there's anything that else that you'd like me to cover, or if there's anything you want to go through from an ANME perspective. But from my perspective, I think we've gone through the whole tool, showing people what it's about, and I hope that people get the vision for it. Oh, so you're on mute.
Typical, first time for everything. In this webinar anyway. I know you've mentioned trying to get schools in there early. Do you know when they'll be able to get access? There's someone's just asking the questions, because I know a few have pre-registered, but do you know when you're letting them in?
It'll be this week.
Cool. That was easy.
So yeah, anybody who's pre-registered, as soon as it goes live, all of the pre-registrations will just flood into the system, and then they will all just get welcome emails. There's like an approval process. So as soon as the approval, because they're pre-registrations, we will be doing the approval process beforehand. We don't need to approve things that we can automatically approve. So if you've got a registered number and the URL matches the name and all of that sort of stuff, it's automatic. But there are a couple in there that would trip over our manual approval, and we'll get those done early doors. So as soon as it goes live, everybody will just get a welcome email, and then anybody that registers after that, you'll get the email pretty much in real time.
Excellent. I think that's about it, and we've finished bang on time as well, which is pretty remarkable. So a massive thank you to John and the team in the background for spending the time going through this. I'm really excited about it. I'm looking forward to seeing schools start using it and hearing how it's going. So thank you, John. Thank you, the Cyber Toolkit team. And thank you to the members for joining us. We've had a great turnout for the webinar today. The recording should be on the portal on the event page in the morning. So watch out for that. I'll ping a message in our WhatsApp group, for webinar WhatsApp group, when it's live. The feedback survey is on the portal now. So next time you go on, you should be prompted to complete that. Please do be as open as possible. If there's any comments that you want to share with the Cyber Toolkit team, pop them in there, and I'll share those back. If you want to hear back, if you want to share your information with them, or you want whatever, pop your contact details in. It's all anonymous unless you put your details in. And yeah, that's it from me. Thank you again to John.
Yeah, heartfelt thank you very much from us as well. ANME has always been a huge supporter, and that's why we brought it to you guys first. And thank you everybody for taking what's proven to be an hour of your time to hear about this service. Apologies that I've talked too much. It is one of the perils of being me. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody, and hopefully see you when you're using the system.
Thank you.